In the heart of a dense, ancient forest stood a weathered house, its walls faded and windows boarded shut. Rumors swirled in the nearby town about the abandoned structure, tales of curses, hauntings, and secrets sealed within its decaying frame. Lately, an enormous grizzly bear, far larger than any other in the region, had taken a keen interest in the property. Locals whispered of seeing the bear circling the perimeter at dusk, its dark eyes fixated on the padlocked basement door with an almost supernatural focus. Something about that musty, subterranean space called to the beast. As the bear's peculiar behavior persisted, drawing more curious glances and hushed speculation, the town decided it was time to act. A team of experienced park rangers assembled, tasked with unraveling the mystery that had the community buzzing with anticipation. What ancient truths lay buried in that eerie basement? And why did they summon the bear as if by magnetic force? Armed with a case of sturdy tools and unshakable courage, the rangers approached the threshold of the enigmatic house on a misty morning. The bear stood sentinel near the basement door, still as a statue, its penetrating gaze warning of the gravity of what dwelled below. With a deep breath, the team set to work dismantling the bolted barricade, unsure if they were prepared for the earth-shattering revelations coiled in the darkness beyond. Tessa, the lead ranger, felt an icy prickle down her spine as she descended the rickety basement steps, flashlight beams slicing through the gloom. The air grew heavy and thick, as if saturated with ancient secrets. Behind her, the team moved with cautious steps, pulses quickening. At the base of the stairs, the dank space opened into a sprawling room packed with relics of a bygone era. Antique furniture sat shrouded in dusty white sheets like mummified ghosts. Cobweb-draped shelves groaned under the weight of leather-bound tomes and strange brass instruments. The scene was frozen in time, a forgotten crypt begging to reveal its hidden knowledge. In the far corner, Tessa's light fell upon an enormous wooden crate, its surface adorned with cryptic symbols and runes unlike anything she had seen before. The bear's low growl rumbled from above, spurring them onward. With trembling hands, the rangers pried open the crate, the screech of rusted nails shattering the sepulchral silence. Inside, nestled amidst crumbling straw, lay a sight that stole the breath from their lungs. A gargantuan skull, bleached and pitted with age, grinned up at them, the ancient remains of a creature that defied explanation. Tessa reached out to stroke the massive canines, each longer than a man's forearm, and felt the weight of an impossible truth crash over her like a tidal wave. The bear had led them here for a reason. This was only the beginning. Shock reverberated through the rangers as they processed the implications of their discovery. Tessa's mind raced, trying to reconcile the existence of such a behemoth creature with everything she knew about the natural world. It was akin to stumbling across a dragon skeleton, something that belonged in the pages of fairy tales, not buried beneath a derelict house in the middle of the woods. Amidst their stupefaction, a glint of metal caught Tessa's eye. Tucked beside the skull sat a peculiar box, its surface adorned with the same enigmatic symbols that marked the crate. With trembling fingers, she unlatched the corroded lock and lifted the lid, revealing a trove of weathered journals and crumbling maps. The yellowed pages were filled with dense, spidery script, chronicling what appeared to be an expedition from centuries past. Snippets leaped out at Tessa. The great beast moves through the forest like a god, shaking the earth with its steps. We have discovered something that will change the course of history, a truth long buried. The bear is the key. It alone knows the way. A chill raced down Tessa's spine. Whatever this creature was, its existence had been known long ago. But why had the knowledge been hidden away? And what role did the bear play in this unfolding mystery? She knew they were standing on the precipice of a revelation that would shake the foundations of everything they believed. As the team delved deeper into the journals, piecing together the fragments of a centuries-old enigma, the bear maintained its vigil outside the house. Its presence took on new meaning now, less a guardian and more an ancient sentinel, protecting a secret it desperately wanted to share. Tessa pored over the faded pages, her heart pounding with each new insight. The expedition had been led by a visionary scientist, convinced that the great beasts of legend, creatures that dwarfed even the mightiest mammals of the modern era, had once roamed the earth. He had followed whispers and fragments of lore to this very forest, guided by an indigenous tribe who revered the bears as sacred emissaries. The journals spoke of a time when the world was a vastly different place, when megafauna thrived and nature held sway over the land. But something had happened, a cataclysmic event that had driven these titans to extinction, or so the world believed. The scientists' fevered scribbles hinted at a staggering truth. The beasts had not vanished, but instead retreated into hidden sanctuaries, waiting for the right moment to emerge once more. As the weight of this revelation settled upon the Rangers, they knew they held the key to unlocking a new chapter in Earth's history. The bear's behavior now made perfect sense. It was a descendant of these ancient guardians, tasked with protecting the secret until humanity was ready to face the truth. And now that time had come. The question remained, what would they do with this earth-shattering knowledge? In the days that followed, the basement discovery sent shockwaves through the scientific community. Experts from around the globe flocked to the small town, each desperate for a glimpse of the ancient skull and the tantalizing journals that accompanied it. The once sleepy hamlet buzzed with activity as makeshift research stations sprang up, turning the forest into a hive of intellectual fervor. Tessa found herself at the center of the maelstrom, her every waking moment consumed by the quest to unravel the mystery that had lain dormant for so long. She pored over the journals, cross-referencing ancient myths and indigenous legends, searching for clues that might lead them to the truth. As the bear continued its steadfast vigil, Tessa couldn't shake the feeling that it was trying to communicate with her. Its soulful eyes seemed to hold a depth of knowledge far beyond the realm of mere instinct. She began to spend long hours in its company, watching as it paced the perimeter of the house, its gaze always drawn back to the basement door. Amidst the chaos of the burgeoning research efforts, Tessa found solace in the quiet moments she shared with the bear. It was as if the creature understood the weight of the responsibility that had fallen upon her shoulders. Together, they would unravel this ancient enigma and bring the truth to light. As the investigation progressed, a sense of camaraderie blossomed among the eclectic group of scientists, rangers, and locals who had been drawn into the heart of the mystery. United by their shared sense of purpose, they worked tirelessly to piece together the scattered fragments of the past. Late one evening, as Tessa hunched over a weathered map, a breakthrough finally came. Hidden within the folds of the ancient parchment was a cryptic symbol, one that matched a peculiar rock formation deep within the forest. The bear, as if sensing the significance of the discovery, let out a low, rumbling growl that reverberated through the night air. Tessa gathered a small team, including her fellow rangers and a handful of trusted scientists. As dawn broke over the misty treetops, they set out into the wilderness, the bear lumbering alongside them like a silent guardian. The forest seemed to hold its breath, the weight of centuries pressing down upon them as they navigated the overgrown trails. Hours later, as the sun dipped toward the horizon, they found themselves standing before a towering wall of moss-covered stone. The formation was exactly as depicted on the map, its craggy surface adorned with the same enigmatic symbol that had led them to this moment. The bear stepped forward, its massive form dwarfing even the largest among them, and pressed its snout to the cool rock. With a shudder that seemed to emanate from the very depths of the earth, the stone wall cracked and crumbled, revealing a hidden passageway that stretched into the darkness beyond. The group exchanged glances, their hearts racing with a mixture of fear and exhilaration. They had come this far, there was no turning back now. With the bear leading the way, they stepped into the shadows, ready to face whatever lay ahead. The passageway was unlike anything Tessa had ever encountered. The smooth, worn walls seemed to pulse with an ancient energy, as if the very stone was alive. The air grew thick and heavy, laden with the musky scent of millennia-old secrets. The bear moved with purpose, its footsteps echoing in the eerie stillness. As they ventured deeper, the passageway began to widen, the darkness giving way to a soft, pulsing glow. Tessa's breath caught in her throat as they emerged into a vast subterranean chamber, its walls adorned with intricate cave paintings that seemed to dance in the ethereal light. The images depicted scenes from a forgotten age, great beasts roaming verdant landscapes, their forms dwarfing the tiny human figures that walked among them. Mammoths, saber-toothed cats, and creatures Tessa had no name for paraded across the stone, their colors still vibrant despite the passage of time. At the center of the chamber stood a raised dais, upon which rested an ancient artifact that pulsed with an otherworldly energy. It was a sphere, no larger than a grapefruit, its surface adorned with swirling patterns that seemed to shift and change before their eyes. The bear approached the dais, its gaze fixed upon the artifact, and let out a low, resonant growl that filled the chamber. Tessa stepped forward, her heart pounding in her chest. She knew, with a certainty that defied explanation, that this sphere held the key to unlocking the truth behind the ancient beasts. With trembling fingers, she reached out and grasped the artifact, feeling its warmth seep into her skin. And in that moment, the world fell away, and Tessa found herself transported to a place beyond time itself. In the blink of an eye, Tessa found herself standing in a lush, primordial landscape, the air thick with the calls of strange and wondrous creatures. The megafauna of the cave paintings roamed the verdant plains, their massive forms casting long shadows in the golden light of the ancient sun. Beside her, the bear stood, its form shimmering with an ethereal energy. As Tessa watched in awe, the creature began to change, its fur melting away to reveal a tall, slender figure garbed in robes of shimmering green. The figure turned to face Tessa, its eyes holding the wisdom of ages past. "Welcome, child of the modern world," the figure spoke, its voice resonating with the power of the earth itself. "You have been chosen to bear witness to the truth that has been hidden for so long." Tessa's mind reeled as she struggled to comprehend the implausible scene unfolding before her. The figure smiled softly, sensing her confusion. "Long ago, when the world was young, the great beasts and the land were one. They lived in harmony, their existence intertwined with the very fabric of the earth. But as time passed, the balance shifted, and the beasts began to fade from the world of man." The figure waved its hand, and the scene around them shimmered and changed. Tessa watched as the once lush landscape withered and died, the great beasts vanishing into the mists of time. But they did not disappear entirely, the figure continued. A few, the strongest and most resilient, found refuge in hidden sanctuaries, waiting for the day when the world would be ready for their return. Tessa's heart raced as the pieces of the puzzle fell into place. The bear, the skull, the ancient journals, all of it had been leading to this moment. "But why me?" Tessa asked, her voice trembling. "Why was I chosen to uncover this truth?" The figure smiled enigmatically. "Because, my child, you possess the courage and the wisdom to guide humanity through the coming change. The great beasts are ready to return, and it will be up to you to help the world understand and accept their place in the new order of things." With a sudden lurch, Tessa felt herself being pulled back to the present, the ancient landscape fading away like a half-remembered dream. She found herself standing once more in the subterranean chamber, the pulsing artifact cool and heavy in her hand. Tessa and the others emerged from the hidden passage, their minds reeling with the weight of the revelations they had witnessed. The bear lumbered ahead, its form once again solid and substantial, no longer the ethereal guardian of the ancient sanctuary. As they trekked back through the forest, a sense of purpose settled upon the group. They knew that the knowledge they now possessed would change the course of history, and that the task of shepherding humanity through the coming transformation would fall upon their shoulders. In the days that followed, Tessa and her team worked tirelessly to prepare the world for the return of the great beasts. They shared their discovery with the scientific community, presenting the indisputable evidence of the creature's existence and the ancient wisdom that had been entrusted to them. At first, their claims were met with skepticism and disbelief. But as more and more experts examined the evidence, the truth began to take hold. The world watched in awe as the story of the hidden megafauna unfolded, and a new era of understanding and harmony with the natural world began to dawn. Throughout it all, Tessa found strength in the unwavering support of her fellow rangers and the scientists who had become her closest allies. Together, they faced the challenges of a world turning on its head, their bond forged in the crucible of the extraordinary. And always, the bear remained at Tessa's side, a constant reminder of the ancient wisdom that had brought them to this moment. Its presence was a source of comfort and inspiration, a living embodiment of the great beasts that would soon reclaim their place in the world. As the truth spread and the gears of change began to turn, Tessa knew that the journey ahead would be long and fraught with obstacles. But armed with the knowledge of the ancients and the strength of their fellowship, she had no doubt that they would prevail. The world was on the cusp of a new age, and Tessa and her companions would be the guides that led humanity into the light. In the heart of the forest, a new sanctuary arose, a place where the great beasts could roam free and humanity could learn to live in harmony with the natural world. Tessa and her team worked tirelessly to create a haven for the returning creatures, their efforts bolstered by a groundswell of support from people around the globe. As the first of the great beasts emerged from the hidden places of the earth, the world watched in wonder. Mammoths, dire wolves, and creatures long thought lost to time stepped into the light, their forms inspiring awe and reverence in all who beheld them. Under Tessa's guidance, a new generation of rangers and scientists learned to communicate with the beasts, forming bonds of trust and understanding that would guide the world into a new era of cooperation and balance. But as with any great change, there were those who resisted the coming transformation. Some feared the power of the great beasts, seeing them as a threat to the established order. Others sought to exploit the creatures for their own gain, driven by greed and a lust for power. Tessa and her allies found themselves locked in a struggle against these forces of darkness, their every waking moment devoted to protecting the great beasts and the delicate balance that had been so hard-won. Through it all, the bear remained a constant presence, its wisdom and strength guiding Tessa through the trials and tribulations that lay ahead. And slowly but surely, the world began to change, as more and more people awakened to the truth of the great beasts and the role they played in the intricate web of life. As the sanctuary grew and flourished, Tessa knew that the journey was far from over. But with the great beasts at their side and the wisdom of the ancients to guide them, she had no doubt that they would prevail. The world was on the cusp of a new dawn, and Tessa and her companions would be the light that led the way. Years passed, and the sanctuary became a beacon of hope and unity for the world. The great beasts thrived under the watchful eye of Tessa and her team, their presence a constant reminder of the wonders that had been hidden for so long. As the sanctuary grew, so too did the bond between humanity and the creatures they had once feared. Children grew up alongside the great beasts, learning the ancient wisdom of the earth and the importance of living in harmony with the natural world. Tessa, here are the remaining chapters of the story. Tessa found herself reflecting on the incredible journey that had brought them to this moment. From the first fateful discovery in the old house's basement to the creation of the sanctuary and the return of the great beasts, every step had been a testament to the power of courage, unity, and the unbreakable bonds of friendship. As she walked through the sanctuary, the bear at her side, Tessa marveled at the way the world had changed. The once abandoned house had been transformed into a center of learning, a place where people from all walks of life could come to study the ancient wisdom of the beasts and learn the ways of harmony and balance. The nearby town, once a sleepy hamlet, had blossomed into a thriving community, its streets filled with the laughter of children and the chatter of people from all corners of the globe. The great beasts roamed freely among them, their presence a source of joy and wonder for all who beheld them. Tessa knew that the journey had been long and fraught with challenges, but as she looked out over the sanctuary, she felt a sense of deep fulfillment. They had achieved something that had once seemed impossible, a world where humanity and the great beasts could live side by side in peace and understanding. And at the center of it all, the bear remained, its presence a constant reminder of the ancient wisdom that had guided them to this moment. Tessa placed a hand on its massive flank, feeling the warmth of its fur and the steady beat of its heart. Together, they had weathered the storms of change and emerged stronger, united in their purpose and their love for the world they had helped to create. As the years turned into decades, Tessa watched as a new generation took up the mantle of guardianship over the sanctuary and its inhabitants. The children who had grown up alongside the great beasts now stood tall and proud, their hearts filled with the same love and reverence that had guided Tessa and her companions so long ago. The bear, now gray with age, remained a constant presence at Tessa's side, its wisdom and strength undiminished by the passage of time. Together, they watched as the sanctuary continued to grow and flourish, a living testament to the power of unity and the resilience of the human spirit. Tessa knew that her own journey was nearing its end, but she faced the future with a sense of peace and contentment. She had lived a life filled with purpose and meaning, and she knew that the legacy she had helped to build would endure long after she was gone. As she sat beside the bear, watching the sun set over the sanctuary, Tessa felt a deep sense of gratitude for all that she had been given. The journey had been long and often difficult, but every step had been worth it for the sake of the world they had created. And so, with a heart full of love and a soul at peace, Tessa closed her eyes and let the warmth of the bear's presence carry her into the next great adventure. Years turned into centuries, and the world continued to change and grow. But always, at the heart of it all, the sanctuary remained, a beacon of hope and a reminder of the ancient wisdom that had brought humanity back from the brink of darkness. The great beasts thrived, their presence a constant source of wonder and inspiration for the generations that followed in Tessa's footsteps. And though the bear had long since passed into legend, its spirit lived on in the hearts of all who called the sanctuary home. For Tessa's legacy had endured, a testament to the power of courage, unity, and the unbreakable bonds of love that had brought the world back into balance. And as the sun rose each morning over the sanctuary, casting its golden light across the land, the people who called it home knew that they were part of something greater than themselves. A living, breathing testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the enduring power of hope. And so, the story of the sanctuary and the great beasts passed into legend, a tale of wonder and inspiration that would endure for generations to come. For in the end, Tessa and her companions had achieved something that had once seemed impossible, a world where humanity and nature could live in harmony, united by the bonds of love and understanding. And though the journey had been long and the challenges many, they had persevered, guided by the ancient wisdom of the bear and the strength of their own convictions. And in doing so, they had created a legacy that would endure long after they were gone. A world where hope and unity reigned supreme, and where the great beasts roamed free once more. As the centuries rolled on, the sanctuary evolved into something far beyond what even Tessa could have imagined. The great beasts, once thought lost to time, had not only returned but had flourished, creating a delicate ecosystem that perfectly balanced the ancient and the modern world. The massive creatures roamed freely through specially designated corridors that stretched across continents, their migrations becoming a natural spectacle that drew observers from around the globe. The original sanctuary had spawned sister sites across the world, each one carefully established using the wisdom found in those first weathered journals. From the frozen tundra of Siberia, where woolly mammoths once again thundered across the permafrost, to the vast savannas of Africa where giant prehistoric cats prowled alongside their modern cousins, the great beasts had reclaimed their ancestral territories. But perhaps most remarkable was how humanity had adapted to share the world with these magnificent creatures. The fears and resistance of the early days had given way to a profound respect and understanding. Children grew up learning not just about the great beasts from books, but from direct observation and interaction, guided by the descendants of those first rangers who had followed Tessa's lead. The bear's lineage, too, had continued. Each generation of rangers found themselves accompanied by these extraordinary ursine guides, who seemed to inherit not just their ancestors' size and strength, but also their mysterious connection to the ancient wisdom. These bears, larger and more intelligent than their wild cousins, became known as the Guardians, their presence a living link to the day when that first bear had led Tessa to the basement of the old house. In the heart of the original sanctuary, the weathered house still stood, though now it had been carefully preserved and expanded into a vast research center. The basement, where it all began, had become a sacred space, visited by pilgrims of science and nature who came to pay homage to the spot where the world had changed forever. The ancient artifact that had shown Tessa the truth all those years ago remained active, carefully guarded in a special chamber beneath the original house. Over the years, it had revealed its secrets sparingly, choosing new witnesses with the same careful consideration it had shown in selecting Tessa. Each vision it granted added another piece to the puzzle of humanity's relationship with the great beasts, building upon the foundation that Tessa and her companions had established. Technology had advanced in ways that complemented rather than conflicted with the presence of the great beasts. Scientists had developed methods to track and study the creatures without disturbing their natural behaviors, while engineers had created infrastructure that allowed human civilization to coexist peacefully with these giants of the past. Vehicles now automatically detected and yielded to migrating herds, while cities had evolved to include vast greenways that served as safe passages for the great beasts. But perhaps the most profound change was in humanity's collective consciousness. The return of the great beasts had forced a fundamental shift in how people viewed their place in the natural world. The old paradigm of dominion over nature had given way to a deeper understanding of interconnectedness. The great beasts had become living reminders of the Earth's ancient rhythms and the importance of maintaining balance in all things. The original journals that Tessa had discovered had been digitally preserved, their pages carefully scanned and studied by generations of researchers. But the physical documents remained in their original box, the paper now fragile with age, still marked with the cryptic symbols that had led to that first extraordinary discovery. They served as a tangible reminder of how a single moment of courage and curiosity could change the course of history. In the halls of the research center, Tessa's image was preserved in photographs and paintings, her story told and retold to each new generation. But those who knew the truth understood that her real legacy lived not in these artifacts, but in the daily harmony between humans and the great beasts, in the thunder of mammoth herds crossing the plains, in the roar of prehistoric cats echoing through restored forests. The prophecy of the ethereal figure Tessa had encountered in her vision had come true in ways even it might not have foreseen. The world had not simply accepted the return of the great beasts. It had been transformed by them. The ancient wisdom had spread, taking root in the hearts and minds of people across the globe, creating a new way of living that honored both progress and preservation. As the sun set over the sanctuary on any given evening, one might see a group of students gathered around one of the guardians, their faces rapt with attention as they learned to read the subtle signs and signals that the great beasts used to communicate. Nearby, a herd of mammoths might amble past, their huge forms silhouetted against the dying light, while overhead, the distant cry of a prehistoric bird would echo across the sky. This was Tessa's true legacy, not just the preservation of the great beasts, but the creation of a world where the line between past and present, between human and nature, had blurred into insignificance. The ancient wisdom she had helped uncover had shown humanity a path forward that honored both progress and tradition, innovation and preservation. And so the story continued, writing itself anew each day in the footsteps of the great beasts, in the wisdom of the guardians, and in the hearts of those who kept Tessa's vision alive. The sanctuary had become more than a haven. It was a living testament to the possibility of change, a reminder that even the most fantastic dreams could become reality when guided by courage, wisdom, and love. The story of the sanctuary and its great beasts had become more than just a tale of preservation. It had become a beacon of hope for countless generations, showing how humanity could evolve beyond its destructive patterns into something greater. In the centuries since Tessa's discovery, the world had witnessed an unprecedented fusion of ancient wisdom and modern innovation, all guided by the profound understanding that had begun in that mysterious basement. Visitors to the sanctuary often spoke of an inexplicable feeling that overcame them as they crossed its boundaries, a sense of stepping into a place where time itself had found a new rhythm. Here, the past and present danced together in perfect harmony, as prehistoric giants walked alongside modern humans, each acknowledging the other's place in the grand tapestry of life. The guardian bears, those magnificent descendants of Tessa's original ursine guide, continued their sacred duty with unwavering dedication. Their presence served as a living reminder of that first miraculous connection, their deep, knowing eyes holding the same ancient wisdom that had first called to their ancestors so long ago. And on quiet evenings, when the sun painted the sky in hues of gold and purple, Those who listened carefully might hear whispers of Tessa's voice carried on the wind, her spirit forever entwined with the sanctuary she had helped create. Her story was not just preserved in books and memories, but lived on in every footfall of the great beasts, every breath of the ancient air, and every moment of harmony between the old world and the new. For in the end, what Tessa and her companions had discovered was not just a hidden world of prehistoric wonders, but a fundamental truth about the nature of existence itself, that the past never truly dies, and that wisdom, once gained, becomes a torch that lights the way for all who follow. The sanctuary stood as living proof that dreams, no matter how impossible they might seem, could take root and flourish when nurtured by courage, understanding, and an unwavering belief in the possibility of change. End of story.